1 year later, after the federal elections, it's our chance to look back. Joining us live from Ottawa, our Prime Minister, Mr. Justin Trudeau. Good morning.
Good morning, Riaz.
Prime time for us to look back at year one and what has been accomplished here in Canada. The latest Ipsos poll says 2 in 3 Canadians approve of your performance. What would you say is the most significant change you have created for us here in Canada?
Well, I think we've been very much focused on growing the economy in a way that helps those in the middle class and those working hard to join it. Some of the biggest things we did, the first thing we did was lowering taxes for the middle class and raising them on the wealthiest 1%. Then we brought in the Canada Child Benefit over the summer, which means more money in the pockets, tax-free every month of 9 out of 10 Canadian families, something that's going to lift 300,000 kids out of poverty across the country. We also improved and strengthened the Canada Pension Plan to make sure that our retirements are secure, dropped the retirement age from 67 to 65, and increased the guaranteed income supplement for our most vulnerable seniors by almost $1,000 a year. These are meaningful things that will put money in the pockets of people who need support.
Mr. Trudeau, one of the major questions, and seeing the progress you've made on those fronts, finances are a big part of this equation. And the federal Liberals run and campaign on the fact we would see no more than $10 billion in terms of a federal deficit. Finance Minister Bill Morneau projects $29.4 billion in terms of a fiscal deficit this year. So how do you boost GDP and innovation yet still bring that budget back to balance?
Well, it's important to be responsible and fiscally prudent in our spending, and that's exactly what we're doing. But we know that, unlike what the previous government thought, you can't cut your way to growth in the economy. We need to invest in our communities, and that's why a big part of what we're doing, on top of helping out the middle class directly, as I outlined, is making investments in infrastructure, which means more C-bus service, fixing up the Broadway, improving the Broadway line, making sure that we're getting the light rail connections to serve. This means making the investments that we need to make so that people can have good jobs in construction in the short term, but also in the medium and long term find it easier to get to and from work, be able to count on social housing, on reliable green infrastructure. These are the kinds of things that people have been asking us for, to invest in our communities, because confident countries are always able to invest in their future.
Green infrastructure is the idea that really stands out from what you just said there. And given climate change was a top priority that had people voting for you last year, how does the conditional approval of the LNG project here in the Pacific Northwest support that?
I think people understand that you can't make a choice. You shouldn't be trying to make a choice between environment and economic growth. We need to be combining those. We need to do things that lead on protecting the environment and fighting climate change, as we have, by bringing in levels at which provinces are going to have to put a price on carbon pollution right across the country, as BC's already led the way on, but we need to get stronger, and it needs to be right across the country. At the same time as we're getting our resources to market in sustainable ways and creating new markets for those resources. People understand we need jobs, we need growth, but we need to protect the environment at the same time, and our government is committed to doing both of those.
And with the protection of the environment, there's been much talk here on the West Coast with the recent diesel spill here in the waters off of Great Bear Rainforest. Our Premier has been critical of the federal government in terms of the disaster cleanup. What is your response to the idea of calls for an all-out tanker ban to avoid these types of things happening in the first place?
Well, over the past years, there's been a lot of underinvestment by the federal government in marine safety and spill response, and that's something we're absolutely committed to turn around. And one of the symbols of that is, well, as someone who knows Vancouver and the Lower Mainland as well as I do, one of the first things we did was reopen the Kitts Coast Guard base, because we understand that having responders there if something happens is absolutely essential. And we're continuing to make historic investments in marine safety, spill response, and the kind of protection of our extraordinary coast, not just for its pristine natural beauty, but for the fact that tens of thousands of British Columbians make their livings on those waters every single day.
Quickly want to get your comments as well of what is happening down south, and not just about politicians, but about messaging. Last year, you ran as a federal leader, and you come out and identify as a feminist. Given the controversial comments of presidential candidate Donald Trump that have come to life from 2005. There's been a great conversation opened about consent. As a feminist, you have 3 children. How do we begin to change the societal behaviors and attitudes towards women and just change this overall?
Well, I think we need to show leadership, which I was happy to do by putting forward the first gender-balanced cabinet in Canada's history. The fact is, we need to do more every day to protect women and girls from the violence that is all too often a reality, and promote gender equality in all spheres of our lives. And that's something that I'm committed to, and know that we still have an awful lot of work to do. For all the great things that we have done, we know that we're still lagging behind on gender equity in the workplace. There's still far too much violence against women and girls, especially Indigenous women and girls, which is why we've launched a national public inquiry. There's a lot of things that we've done, but there's a lot more to do, and I'm glad to be part of doing it.
It's been a year of firsts for you, the first Prime Minister to walk in the Vancouver Pride Parade. And when you look at all of the accomplishments you have made as the leader of our nation, what is the one you are most proud of, as not only as a leader, but just as a person here in Canada?
Well, I think the fact that we built a platform that was based on listening to Canadians and what their concerns were, and we're very much focused on governing the same way, continuing to talk with, listen to, hear the concerns of Canadians and respond to it. So whether it's on creating economic growth for the middle class, protecting the environment, or fixing the broken relationship with Indigenous Canadians, these are things that Canadians care about, and they're things that we're going to work on together.
Well, you're getting the country engaged, Prime Minister. Thanks for making time for us this morning.
A real pleasure, as always.
Mr. Justin Trudeau, live from Ottawa. Thank you very much. We'll take a break.